Oh yeah, it's time again. We're back for another makeup look. It's time again. Today we're going to be doing makeup again and we're going to be having fun. I'm actually going to play around with it a little bit today. I'm actually going to film the entire makeup look rather than just, you know, after the base. Just because I want to play around a little bit today with the base. I'm going to do my eyebrows a little bit different today just because the way that I see everybody else do them is they like block down half of it and then carry it on, which I just block it all and then do it completely higher. But let's just see if that works. Let's play around with it a little bit. I'm hopefully going to have the right colours that I can pull off my natural brow, because my natural brows are busted. So yeah, let's shave all of this off, and yeah, then I'll be back and I'll show you me block my brows down. It's going to be a long-winded experience, so tuck in and get ready to feel the absolute fantasy that is a mess. Wow, here I am. There's something about literally having no beard that, although it seems weird to compare, is kind of in the same realms of like how women sometimes feel without makeup. Like, for me to like sit here without a beard is so strange. But yeah. So yeah, first of all, I'm going to start off with just gluing down my brows. Like I said, I'm only going to do half of them. And whilst I do that, I'm going to kind of explain why I don't normally do this brow. So yeah, so when I first started doing drag, this was the first kind of, you know, brow that I used to try. For some reason, I just stopped because, I mean, I don't know if you've noticed this, but I have such like hooded brows that, you know, anytime that I do drag, I kind of want to, you know, open up the eye and make it a lot larger. So I kind of always avoided it, but when I first started doing drag, this was actually the only brow that I used to do, just because it was easier and it gave me like an easier guideline and things like that. And if I've seen anybody else online doing drag makeup, they themselves are doing the exact same kind of brow, like they're not doing the full brow, they're just doing half of it. Which we're going to see today if it works. If it doesn't, then, you know. This as well will be such a challenge because my actual brows are not the closest of sisters, let's just say that. I mean, somewhat inbred cousins, so, you know. Okay, so whilst that glue dries, I'm actually gonna just prime my skin a little bit. This is only the first layer, I am gonna go in with an extra layer. But yeah, I'm gonna try and make my skin really well primed. I'm gonna do a little bit on my forehead, just I feel like I don't need as much product on my forehead. It tends to be more around here, especially on the lower part of my face. I also like to use this, which is the Neutrogena Hydro Boost, which it's just literally, it's like a really watery moisturiser. I just feel like it's really nice, like it's not dead heavy and it just, you only need the tiniest of bits just to make sure that your skin, it's just nice and tacky. Like everything that I want when I'm doing drag makeup is just to, like, my skin to look soft and my eyes to look bright. So at least I think that's what you do. Okay, next I'm going to use this NYX Honey Dew Me Up. This really is just, I think I've said before that it's like snail slime. So I actually use like quite a lot of glue, which I think some people maybe find a bit strange. I have just really coarse eyebrows, so for me to not use as much as I do, it would just, I mean, you see it through. That hasn't quite dried yet, but another little trick that I have seen from various drag queens is just to use a little bit of cold water just over that glue. Just whenever I do that, it essentially just smooths it out really and gives it like a better finish. Not a lot, obviously you don't want to like wipe away what you've just done, but rather than having that texture, it kind of just makes like, you know, kind of like a latex flat texture, which is really good. Like I said, I don't use a lot, I just literally give it a small coat and just so that it smooths it out rather than being like lumpy bumpy. I'm actually going to go in and colour correct just on certain areas, more specifically my top lip, just because it does have the darkest hair. I actually have quite like red beard hair, which is strange to kind of use like a red colour corrector, but we'll just do it. Boss. So the brows still are not done, so I'm going to go in on the bottom half of my face. With that, I'm going to go in with, I actually mix my foundations. So I actually make a small mixture between this, let me have a look. So this Buff Beige in Fit Me Maybelline, which is just like a really cheap one, and then I also have this MAC Studio Sculpt, which is really heavy. It's sometimes a little bit too heavy because, like I said earlier, just about my forehead, I sometimes don't need as much on my forehead. I actually paint it and then I blend, just because I find that it's nicer that way. Always remember to do your ears, because otherwise you look incomplete. You look like you've got boy ears with drag face. Like it just doesn't make sense. I went to visit my two nieces the other day, just at my brother's, and one of my nieces, she just said, she jokingly was saying about how she's going to copy my makeup. And I was like, go for it. Literally live your fantasy. I think that if anything, as an uncle that does drag, especially like in a small area, one thing that I love the most is how much my nieces love it. Because it's fun. Such a pointy chin. Like, I think that's one of the things that I've always had, not an insecurity about, like I'm not bothered in that sense, but especially when I do drag, I do notice more and more that my chin is a big bitch. Okay, my brows are practically dry now, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to powder them. I'm just going to go in with, I actually treated myself to the Kimchi Puff Pass, which is a really nice translucent powder, and you get a lot, like, so why not? And you really want to press it in, because you want to, you know, almost like flatten out. If you think of like putty and things like that, you know, the way that if you kind of push it like mold, you want to kind of mold it to be like a flat surface of skin, so that you can work on it. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go in and I'm actually going to cut out where I want my brow to be. This will just give me like a better guideline. Just rather than kind of painting it on and then cutting it out, I like to kind of cut, draw, cut a little bit again. To do this, I'm actually only using just a white concealer. I usually go in with like skin tones and things like that, but as we've just sort of discussed there, the brow at the moment so as you can see, I'm going really kind of dramatic with it. Like I said earlier, my brows are extremely hooded, so I just want to make sure that I have enough drama still. Drama mama. Notice how as well I haven't gone in on my forehead yet, and that's something that of recent I've started to notice more. The earlier I do my makeup on my forehead, the quicker it creases and the quicker it just, I don't know, it just goes a mess. I have like really deep lines on my forehead that I'm not like ashamed of or anything, like I'm not like conscious about them, because when I don't do drag, like they're not there really. But yeah, it is something that definitely within drag is a massive faux pas. So yeah, so as I said earlier, just with my brows being so dark, I actually need to use a darker colour. I have this NYX Tape and Frame Tinted Brow Pomade. It's really dark, it's essentially a black to be honest, but we'll go in and be very delicate with it. And we'll work with it, just because we don't want to go too much into it. Something as well about waiting with my eyebrows is that I can clean up the top with the foundation that I do on my forehead, which kind of makes it a little bit better. Okay, I think that's like the general eye shape that I want. So with that, I'm just gonna tidy up the underneath, and then I'm gonna go over my forehead with foundation, and then we're gonna go in and contour and everything like that. Okay, so for contour, I usually mix it up to be honest. I'm actually going to go in with this today because I feel like of recent I have been using this really dark stick and it has a tendency to make my skin go grey. Yeah, so I'm going to go in with this for my contour. I kind of blend between these two, just these two are the best colours in there. This is just like cream contour, it was literally like £3. It's just to help it contour and then a base, and then I go in with like powders later on. Firstly, I'm just going to go with some Cover Fix, which I'm just going to go in on the underneath of my eyes, just to kind of, you know, make a small base for my highlight. And I just tend to make like a really triangular placement when it comes like under my eyes and everything. Just that way it kind of, it creates like a highlight in the centre of the face. And then when it comes to my forehead, I actually have a really small forehead, which you don't really hear that often. And it also doesn't look like I do, but if you notice like my hairline is like here, which for like putting on wigs, I kind of have to put it up before that, and then I kind of end up with a hairline that's like right here. So it is a bit of a nightmare to be fair. But you know, we live and we die. Again, blending anything that I lay down just for the future, you know, work that's going to go into it. I'm going to go in with this, which is literally just a cream foundation stick. It's not the best, but it is good, and it also is really good for when you first start in drag. You know, me and the girl that I started doing drag with swore by these when we first started doing drag, and I still do, especially for highlight, because it's a full coverage foundation, which is perfect for doing highlight. Notice as well that I don't always put it on with the actual stick itself. The stick is handy, but it just, I feel like it's harder to control the product fresh from the stick. I'm going to go in with a very small amount on the inner of my eyes and just in the very centre of my forehead. I don't know why, it doesn't actually say anywhere that that's the places that you should really do it, but in my head, you know, that kind of very corner of your eye is where I want it to be like the highest point of my face, and therefore where it hits the light first. Just I have quite sunken-in eyes, and therefore, you know, with the hooded and the sunken-in eyes, I want to bring those out. Which I realise sounds really stupid, so I'm going to stop talking now and just blend this shit out. So where I draw it, I actually draw it a lot lower and then I work it up. This being that I have done it before in the past where I look like I've got all this really heavy bottom jaw, which for a drag queen isn't really what you want. So what I try and do is avoid the squareness of my face and try and create into, you know, a more rounded off version. Something that I do last, and I do it like separate from everything else, is just my nose. My nose is probably the worst part of, so like I always like highlight it and contour it last, just because it's not straight for one, and yeah, it just, I don't know, like I always have to take the most time on it. Okay, now it's time to powder. I'm just going to powder over everything and lock everything in place after all that beautiful work, which always scares me because I always think that I'm overdoing it and that everything that I've done is just going to end up, I don't know, vanishing away. If you're finding all these steps boring, do comment below, let me know what you think, because I'm only doing this just out of respect for anybody that's kind of wanting to watch these videos and have a look and see what it actually takes to do the full steps. Just, I mean, right now I've already been at it for maybe like an hour and I'm only just about to start contouring with powders. Like, it takes a lot of time. So I'm going to go in with this, it's just literally a Revolution contour. I actually use smaller brushes when it comes to my contour, just because I find, you know, if I use something like as big as this, it's sometimes a little bit harder to control, whereas if I use something a little bit smaller, or, you know, like I've even used stuff like this before, obviously like an angled brush, but yeah. Today I'm just going to use this. I'm going to use a very small eyeshadow brush just to deepen. Lovely. And then what I'm going to actually go in and do is I'm going to powder underneath my eyes, because we're going to start the eye makeup, which is my least favourite part of the makeup. So back with the Alexis Stone palette, I think we're going to go green today, just to shake it up a little bit. So I think I'm going to go in with, I mean, this is the only green that I really like out of it. I mean, this palette is really good in order to blend and create different colours, you know, if you're dipping in between and want to make like oranges and things like that, but I don't want to do that, so.
And then again with the white concealer, I'm going to go in and I'm going to cut out my crease slightly. Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to set that with a little bit of powder. And then I'm going to choose what colour we want to put over the top of it. Back in with this deepest green colour, I'm actually going to go up the edge and blend in that cut crease. And now what I do actually have is this Peaches and Cream loose pigment, which is actually in the shade Rattlesnake. So I'm going to pop this on the inner, well, in the cut crease, and hopefully make a gorgeous, well, inner shimmer. So yeah, that is the first eye done. I'm going to go in and do a little bit of eyeliner just so that it's, you know, got like a cleaner line, and then I'm going to go in and lashes, everything like that. We'll come back and then we'll do blush, aka my favourite part, add a lip, and then we'll get the look on. I feel like this look is really coming together now. Like now I've got the lashes on, I feel like you can finally see just kind of the facial shape that I was trying to do today. Okay, so now I'm going to go in and do my favourite part, which is the blush. I already deepened my contour earlier, so this is just literally about warming the face up with a little bit of blush, and then going in with a couple of beauty marks, and then we're going to go in with a lip, which I think we'll probably just do a nude lip today, because I don't know why. Again, something that I do with blush is I always use a smaller brush, as I just feel as though with blush you kind of want to concentrate almost depending on how pigmented the shade is and things like that. So it's all just about building with blush. I feel like adding it in the right areas just really makes the face warm up. Look like it's meant to. Something that I do like to do with highlighter is, rather than kind of spread it down my face, I tend to just pinpoint it in a particular area. That way it makes my cheekbone look sharp, if that makes sense. Finally, I'm just going to go in with a couple of beauty marks, and then the look is done. Maybe a little bit of setting spray just to make me look gorgeous, but yeah, the look is finally complete. Everything is done. Thankfully we've now got it completed, so all that's left to do now is just to get changed. So see you in a minute.
Been looking I don't really know why I try, but I don't wanna know. I don't wanna know why. Promise me, 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 promise me.
Well, there you have it, guys. That is the full look done together. Thought I'd go for this nice little power suit moment, a little bit of a she-boss. Oh my god, do you remember when Talisa used to have that tattoo and every time she used to come out on X Factor she used to be like, the female boss? That's me right now. Maybe it turns out that this eyebrow technique is easier for me to do. Maybe it makes my face just look a little bit more structured. I mean, I'm really happy with the outlook today. Let me know what you guys think. Let me know if you like the look, if you want to see more of this where I go entirely through it rather than just skipping steps. I've had a lot of fun doing today's makeup. It's been nice for us to not actually rush through it and just actually do what I want to do. You know, normally I'm like up until, you know, 4 in the morning doing this makeup, and now I've actually been able to get the opportunity to just enjoy myself and live out the full fantasy. Let me know what you think of the look. You know, comment below if you want to see more of this, subscribe. I hope you've enjoyed it, guys. Peace!
Let's go to. This shit be like Friday night.